Alright, so here we are, lesson 13, division with forgiveness and the standard algorithm. So, we're only going to look at the first page here, but you'll see that we're going to do the division problems using both methods. So for the first one, we're going to start with the standard algorithm. So now we're going to write it the same way as we normally would. So we would have our 37,653 on the inside. Alright, and then our 3 on the outside, and now make sure to leave a little bit of room because instead of writing our answers on the side, we are going to be writing them on the top. Okay, so first, with the algorithm, we're not thinking in place value anymore. We are going one number at a time. So we're looking at 3 here, and we're looking how many groups of 3 go into 3. And we know that that is one group. I'm going to do this in a different color actually. It'll be easy to tell the difference. Alright, so that is one group of 3, so that means 1 times 3 is 3, so we are subtracting 3 now, which gives us 0, and we bring down the next number, which is 7. So now we're asking how many groups of 3 go into 7, and we know that that's 2. So now we're going to subtract 6. When we subtract, we are left with 1. We bring down the next number, which is 6. And now we're asking how many groups of 3 go into 16, and we know 5 whole groups go in. 5 times 3 is 15, so that means we are subtracting 15, and we get 1. Now we bring down the 5, and now we have 15. And like we saw before, we know 5 whole groups of 3 go into 15. So if we subtract 15, we get 0. We're not done. We still need to bring down that 3. And we know that one whole group of 3 goes into 3. So if we subtract 3, now we get 0 and we have no numbers left. So our answer is 12,551. So now if you go back and you look at this algorithm, you see all of my numbers line up at the top. That's very important that the number of groups that you're taking out goes right above the number that you're working with. And I know I kind of had to go on an angle here. I also like that you draw the arrows just so I see that you're bringing down that number. Okay, so now if we check it with the forgiveness method, so now I'll go back and I'll write this in how we usually would. Draw my line. And the 3. So now when we're looking at our answer here, we know that we need to start probably with 10,000. So if we take out 10,000, that means we'd be subtracting 30,000. So we would get 7,653. And now looking here, then we'd probably have to take out another 2,000 here for looking at this place value. So we take out 2,000. That means we'd be taking out 6,000 here. So we get 653. If we look at the hundreds place, we'd have to take out 500. So that means we'd be subtracting, I missed a 1 here. Subtracting 1,500, so then we would get 153. If we look at the tens, we're going to have to take out 50. So if I subtract 150, running out of room, we'd get 3. And then in the ones, we just have one group of 3. We subtract 3 and we get 0. And then when we add all of these up, we get a 1, a 5, a 5, a 2, and a 1, which is what we got the first time. Okay, so I'm hoping that as we go along, the forgiveness method will just be some way for you to check that your answer seems correct. Okay, make sure you have all of that written down. We're going to go on to the next one, and I'm going to just erase a little bit here, just so we have some room. Okay, so make sure you have all that written down. Alright, so now if we look at this one, we've got 67,653 divided by 9. So for the algorithm, remember to leave some space. So 67,653 goes on the inside. Leave some space up above, and we're dividing by 9. So now we ask ourselves how many groups of 9 go into 6, and we know that that's 0. So you can either write a 0 or just leave it blank. So we're going to move on to the 67. And we know that 7 whole groups of 9 go into 67, so I'm putting it above the 7 here. 9 times 7 is 63, so I'm subtracting 63. I'm left with 4. and I bring down the 6. And now I'm asking how many groups of 9 go into 46, which is 5. So I'm going to subtract 45, not 46, 45. I'm left with 1. I bring down the 5. How many groups of 9 go into 15? And that's only 1. So I'm going to subtract 9, and I'm left with 6. If I bring down this last 3, we know that 7 whole groups of 9 go into 63, and I subtract 63, so I'm left with 0, and I have no numbers left. So that means my answer would be 7,517. Now if I check with the forgiveness method, same setup as before. 7, 6, 5, 3. Draw my line. So now if I use my answer from above, or from over here, in the thousands, I'd have to take out 7,000 first. And 9 times 7 is 63, so this would be minus 63,000. A 3, a 5, a 6, and a 4. If I look at the hundreds, I see I need to take out 5 hundreds. So 9 times 5 is 45, so I'd be subtracting 4,500. I'm left with 3, 5, and a 1. If I look in the tens, I'd take out one group of 10. So I'd be subtracting 90. And when I subtract those, I'm left with 63. And then in the ones, I need to take out 7 groups of 9. So I'd be subtracting 63 to get 0. If I add all of these up, I get 7, a 1, a 5, and a 7, which is what I got before, so that means that my answer makes sense. Alright, so we're going to do one more problem altogether here on this page. So I'm going to erase, I don't need to erase actually. So number 3 is 9,584 divided by 4. So first, I'm going to set up my algorithm. Leave some room. 9,584 goes on the inside. 4 goes on the outside. So now, we know that 2 groups of 4 go into 9. So I'm going to subtract 8, and I'm left with 1. I bring down my 5. And I know that 3 whole groups of 4 go into 15, so I'm going to subtract 12. I'm left with 3, and I bring down my 8. I know that 9 whole groups of 4 go into 38, and 9 times 4 is 36, which I'm going to subtract. So I'm left with 2, and I bring down the 4. And I know in the end that 6 whole groups of 4 go into 24, so I subtract 24, and I'm left with 0, and I have no numbers left over up top. So that means my final answer is 2,396. So again, if I check with forgiveness, 4 on the outside, 9, 5, 8, 4. I draw my line. So if I look in the thousands, I'm going to take out 2,000 first. So I'm going to subtract 8,000, and I'm left with 1,584. In the hundreds, I'm going to take out 300. So that means I'm subtracting 1,200. So I'm left with a 4, an 8, and a 3. In the tens, I'm taking out 90. So I would be subtracting 360 then. So I'm left with 24. And then in the ones, I'm taking out 6. So I subtract 24, and I'm left with 0. And when I add these up, I have 6, 9, 3, and 2, which is what I got originally. Alright. So on this next page, I only want you to try number 1. Alright, try number 1, and I'll tell you that your answer should be 7,537 in the end. Alright, try out the algorithm and the forgiveness method. Go ahead and look back at your notes, and then we will go over some more practice problems in class.